So Bambara boxing is a little over a year old now. Goodness, it's been a busy year. We're a couple months behind getting this video out, but we want to do a recap on not just all the videos that we've made this year, but on a bunch of my broader kind of takeaway points and the things that I learned as I returned to competition. This YouTube channel and starting it was originally something that I did for my athletes in my gym, under the hopes that even if they couldn't get on my books, even if they couldn't have a private lesson with me, I could steer them in a direction where they would have access to the correct information to guide their training and their learning and their development as athletes. But it's ended up growing into so much more than that. We have videos that have had over 200,000 views. We have almost 6,000 subscribers, and they're all wonderful. People comment on our videos and the community is growing. And I found out that I'm not just making these for my Bambara boxing athletes, but I'm making these videos for all of the athletes. Getting into writing these scripts also motivated me to get back into the ring to continue to learn. I am obsessed with the sport of boxing and I really want to learn everything about the sweet science. And even just in my 5 fights back this year, every single fight taught me something when I was in between those ropes. And we're gonna talk about kind of the trajectory of that growth and development, catch you up, and hopefully you'll pick up a couple things that'll help you have success when you fight. So after 7 years away from competition, where I exclusively focused on coaching and growing a team and running a gym, I returned to the ring. My new goal is to have 100 fights. The goal this year was to get 8. We signed up for 14, and between people not being on weight, people no-showing, being unable to get matched, injury, all sorts of stuff, we ended up with 5. But you know, in those 5 fights, we learned a lot. The first big takeaway, just broadly, when I returned to the ring, was that in 7 years of just sparring, even traveling and sparring and doing gym wars and everything like that, I forgot how physically hard it was to fight. Wow. When somebody's really trying to kill you, not just trying to spar with you and learn and look good for coach, and you're really trying to outbox them and keep yourself safe and hit them back, it is physically exhausting in a way that is not comparable to any other sport that I've done. Boxing's the hardest by a wide margin physically. The other thing that I realized is in my 7 years away, I really was overly reductive with my system, where I sterilized and I streamlined the system too much, and I would present it to my athletes as, oh, just do ABC and you'll get XYZ. But in application, you gotta remember that a boxing match is 50% sport and 50% fight. And it's not just about a choreography, a sequence of tactics that you learn and employ. It's more about a series of principles that you understand and you can apply and you can play with in the presence of different variables so that you can have success. Returning to the ring and getting these 5 fights was certainly my largest just explosion of growth and development in recent memory. You get to a certain point with your boxing where the thing that's going to give you the most return to improve once you've got your fundamentals under you is fighting, is competing, is being exposed to different styles and play testing your understanding of the system. And that's what I've been doing for this whole year. I had a huge acceleration in growth probably in 2019, where I was forced to switch to be a southpaw for a little over a year. I learned a lot about boxing positionally, but this is certainly the largest development since then. So let's talk about those 5 fights and what my big takeaways were from each of them. My first fight that I got this year was in Albany in the summer, and it was against James Capone. And that fight was a ton of fun. It helped to welcome me back to the sport, and he was a great guy to have in front of me for that because he was dangerous, but he had a pretty consistent game plan that you see a lot at the amateur level, where he's got a big, powerful overhand right, and then a nice, unpredictable shovel hook, a left hand to the liver. And the pincer attack of those 2 things kept me really honest when I was working with him. And he was threatening, but in a way that I could manage. I'm familiar with those tricks. I was that guy for a couple years earlier in my development. So I had a ton of fun in that fight, and I got a chance to hone my defenses a little bit and sharpen up, and I got a chance to just really feel how different it was to be in a fight again. You know, 7 years away from the sport where I was just sparring really made me forget what it really feels like when somebody's really trying to kill you and they got a record on the line. So I had a ton of fun in that fight. It was a good challenge and a good way to onboard me and a good way to start myself off returning to boxing competition. My second fight of the year was against Mike Guy in Street Beefs down in Virginia. This was smack dab in the middle of my wife and I's honeymoon. We were going on a road trip through the Appalachian Mountains, going to different churches and monasteries, and we figured we were going to be passing right through there while they were having an event. It's something that's been on my bucket list for a long time. I think those fights are a lot of fun to watch, and I decided to throw my hat into the ring and check it out. I'm really happy that I was matched up day of and didn't get a chance to do my research, because if you look at all of Mike Guy's other fights, he's got a lot of big knockouts. He can hurt guys with both hands, and me just going in there and having fun and staying loose and relaxed really kept me safe in that fight. When I'm left to my own devices, my favorite thing about fighting isn't about hurting somebody or knocking somebody out. You know, it's really about being a showman. And I really enjoyed that fight because I felt like that came across, where I was talking to him and I was putting my hands down. I got a chance to showboat a little bit and like amp up the audience. And that fight was a ton of fun and gave me a lot of confidence moving forward, because man, let me tell you, that was like the physically hottest I have ever been in my entire life. It was right in the middle of the daytime in that summertime Virginia heat, and that kicked my butt. I felt for all of my fights from there on out, I was like, man, no matter how hard I work, I'm never gonna be that hot and I'm never gonna be that tired. My third fight of the year was the Watch City Invitational against Barrett Hanlon from Uppercuts Gym. And that fight was great. Another one that I went into feeling really comfortable and confident. I had a lot of momentum. That was my third fight in 4 weeks. We were really busy to start things off this year. Going in there again, just like in the Mike Guy fight, I got a chance to be relaxed. I got a chance to kind of be in my element. I had a guy in front of me who was a very hard puncher. Certainly the hardest puncher that I've ever encountered in 23 years of competition and sparring. I don't think I've ever run into anybody who hit as hard as he hit. But I stayed on my bicycle and I layered in my defense and I picked my moments really carefully. And I had a wonderful time. I got a chance to, again, put on a show and learn a lot and test the system when there was a lot on the line. If I had let one of those shots connect, I certainly would have been horizontal. So that was another excellent little point on the journey. My fourth fight of the year was against TDT champ, one of Lil Cray Cray's stablemates at his event in Syracuse. This fight was a lot of fun, certainly good advertising for the Bambara boxing system, but of all my fights this year, wow, I know all my fans love it. Everybody likes seeing somebody have some momentum and look good and be in their element. Probably my least favorite fight of the year, because I got a chance to apply my game plan and it worked really well. And just like in tennis, you serve somebody the ball and they got to give it back to you, and I didn't feel like I had the back and forth I needed to really think and push myself and continue to learn and develop as an athlete. My final fight of the year was in the New England Championships down in Boston against Giovanni Daly. And Giovanni is a spectacular fighter. He's won that tournament the last 3 years in a row. He has lots and lots of fight experience, and that showed. When I was fighting him, I had to work hard to get past his 1 and his 2, and it was difficult to build any sort of offensive momentum against a well-educated fighter like himself. It was a fun fight. There was a lot of back and forth. I'm definitely gonna do a lot of growing. I learned a lot of things. I'm not gonna share too much of it here. That'll apply when him and I run into each other again. Our breakdown with that fight was also one of my highlights of the year. Us being able to sit and chat about, oh, when you did this, I was trying this, but I could see that you saw that. Those are the things that I really love about boxing, about the community coming together, and us all working as a team to contribute and try to figure out what this sport really is, what the sweet science is, shining a flashlight into all the cracks and crevices of this sport so we can really understand it thoroughly. It's been a strange year, and certainly when I entered this year, I remember driving with my wife back from sparring down in Boston, saying to her, I just want to fight again. I don't care if I win or lose, I just want to fight and I want to learn. And let me tell you, that statement was tested this year. I lost 2 of the fights to the judges, I won 3 of the fights, and I learned a lot, and I should be satisfied with that. On my journey to 100 fights, if every 5 fights I learn this much, I'm gonna have a great journey, and I'm gonna think boxing's a totally different thing by the end of this than I do at the beginning. And I'm so happy that you folks are coming along for the ride with me. Moving forward, We intend to make up the difference. The fights that we didn't get this year, we're still on our road to 100. My fighting and my competition is on a brief hold while I run the team through Golden Gloves. I've just got too many guys involved in the sport right now and competing in this tournament for me to be competing alongside them. I need to give them my attention as a coach. But as soon as Golden Gloves is done in February, we're gonna start competing again. We're gonna get back in there and we're gonna continue to learn and continue to develop. Because if there's one thing that Coach Bambara is, it is absolutely obsessed with the sweet science. I want to test it over and over and over again, and I want to understand all of the intricacies and nuance so that I can educate you folks, so that I can change the system, so that I can take the things that don't work and adjust them, and I can take the things that do work and I can double down on them. And we're going to pass all of that on to you. If you guys are interested in my knowledge, you can check out our Ko-fi account where I will break down sparring or fight footage for you. I can even break down shadow boxing or bag work. And if you could continue sharing our YouTube channel, liking and subscribing, all of that helps us out on our road to 100 and giving us the success and the freedom that we need to continue getting this information to you folks so that you can have success when you fight. This is what USA Boxing is preventing me from looking like when I fight. Unacceptable.
Wow.
Aries!
Dude!
Dude, I can't tell you how much I hate the way I look. Isn't this cute? A little like weight set. Oh, Coach messed it up. We're getting demonetized on this one.
Coach has got 2 weeks to make weight. Here we are.
Oh no. Cool, thank you. All right.
Yeah, battleship!
I'm trying to take you by the battleships here.
Okay, they're coming. They're coming. Seen her.
Spooky basement gym. Spooky basement gym made scarier by the fact that they want me to watch the news. That's not for us, right?